Hello. Today we will discuss the principles of deduction. Of course, this is still in our subject, income taxation. I am Romualdo Credo, your teacher. Let's begin with our discussion, deduction from gross income. So, ano ba yung mga i-deduct natin sa gross income? So, what is deduction? Deduction from gross income pertains to business expenses incurred by a taxpayer engaged in trade or engaged in practice of profession. Siyempre, sabi nga natin, in order to earn, dapat meron kang sacrifice muna or meron kang cost na ma-incur. Yun yung tinatawag nating expenses. So, expenses is essential in order to earn. Now, let's define what is business. Business means habitual engagement in a commercial activity involving regular sale of goods and services to customers or credit. So let me emphasize yung important term dun sa definition ng business. So sabi dito, habitual at saka yung regular na term. So ibig sabihin, kapag once lang na nangyari yung 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 income na transaction, it is not considered as business kasi dapat sabi dito habitual. Ibig sabihin habitual, laging nangyayari, or sabi sa isa pang term na ginamit is regular. Ibig sabihin laging nangyayari. Mayroong regular activity of selling, parang ganun. Mayroong regular activity na revenue generating, selling man yan o sa pag-render ng service. Tapos sabi dito, it is a commercial activity. Alam naman natin ang ibig sabihin ng commercial activity. Ibig sabihin, commercial activity is profit oriented or intended. No? So dapat yung purpose ng pag-operate is to earn. So let me just emphasize na yung pag-conduct ng business para magkaroon ka ng income, kasi yun ang gusto mo, walang boss. Minsan nire-refer sa taxation yun as self-employment. Yung nagtayo ka ng business para magkaroon ka ng regular source of income instead of mag-apply sa company and being employed. Yun. So sometimes tinatawag na self-employment. Yun yung put up ng business. So, magkaiba siya yung self-employment, magkaiba sa employment. Kasi yung employment, yung income mo doon is considered as compensation income, while dito sa self-employment or nagtayo ka ng business is considered as business income or income from profession. Depende kung ano yung tinayo mo para magkaroon ka ng income generating activity. Now, let's proceed sa distinction ng business expense saka personal expense. So, what is business expense? Business expense are the cost of doing trade, business, or practice of profession such as, ito ang example ng business expense, salary ng mga employee, utilities, yung ibig sabihin yung electric at saka water, and yung internet, expenses nila, supplies, yung mga kinukonsume sa office, rent, taxes, losses, bad debts, depreciation on business properties, and even yung research and development. So, minsan kailangan mong mag-innovate. That's why kailangan mong mag-engage sa research and development para ma-maintain yung iyong competitive advantage. Personal expense naman, on the other hand, includes living and family expenses of individual, like mostly food, shelter, recreation, transportation, personal medication, home rentals, utility, personal use, tuition fees of dependents, and other similar expenses. Sabi natin last time, pati sa compensation income, that yung personal expenses is not deductible kasi mayroon nang inalat doon sa ating tax table for individual na yung first 250,000 na income ni taxpayer is not subject to tax. Kasi nga, para bigyan siya ng way para ma-recover naman yung kanyang personal expenses. So, hindi na tinatax yun. So, therefore, hindi na dapat i-deduct o i-exempt itong i-deduct yung personal expenses kasi nga meron ng consideration na binigay sa ating tax system yung para sa personal expenses, and that is yung first 250,000 na in-exempt sa ating tax law. Of course, alam na natin ang difference ng expense at saka capital expenditure. So, alam na natin na ang expense is expense. Bakit siya ang disbursement, for example, is considered as an expense at hindi siya capital expenditure because it only benefits the current period. So, ngayon lang, ang magbe-benefit sa future period, wala na. So, i-charge mo na kaagad sa operation. That's why it's considered expense. Kasi isang taon lang yung current period lang, kung isang taon man yan, ang magbe-benefit. So, yun ang sinasabi nating expense expenditure. So, ang example nun is, ang example ng mga expenses na magbe-benefit lang ay current period ay salaries and wages, utilities, selling expenses, like yung delivery and commission, rentals, and yung local taxes and permit. Of course, yung local taxes and permit, annual yan. So, every year, nagbabayad. So, hindi kailangang i-capitalize. Yan. On the other hand, yung capital expenditure naman, these are usually mas malaki yung amount compared sa expense. Kaya, usually, kinakapital siya kasi ang magbe-benefit ay hindi lang current period, kundi pati future period. Kaya kung isipin natin, it is unfair na expense lang natin siya, i-charge natin siya sa current operation kung magagamit pa naman siya in the future. So, for example, 10 years, bakit mo i-expense yung 1 million na binayaran mo today kung hindi lang naman current year ang magbe-benefit hanggang 10 years. So, unfair yon. So, para mas maging fair, dapat i-allocate yung expenditure over its useful life. Kaya ang example natin sa capital expenditure ay ito yung mga binibili nating property, plant and equipment, inventories, and investment, prepayments, kaya na-allocate natin, acquisition of intangible assets, expense to promote business, goodwill, and rentals on capital lease. Kasi yung mga yan ay, ang magbe-benefit ay hindi lang current period, kundi future period. So, kailangan talaga, yun, kailangan yung allocation of expense. Ang allocation ng expense, ibig sabihin, i-divide mo yung cost over its useful life. Now, let's distinguish non-depreciable and depreciable assets. No? So, yung tinatawag nating depreciable cost, kapag depreciable assets yan yung tinatawag nating acquisition cost. Net of expected salvage value is allocated as deduction over its useful life. No? So, yan yung tinatawag natin na depreciable assets. Ibig sabihin, i-depreciate natin, ibig sabihin, gradually, i-charge natin yung kanyang acquisition cost doon sa kanyang useful life. Kasi nga, sabi nga natin kanina, dapat i-allocate yung cost ng capital assets kasi nga over doon sa useful life niya para mas fair ang treatment. So, ang common way to allocate yung cost ng depreciable assets is by using straight line na computation ng ating depreciation expense. So, alam naman natin yung formula ng straight line. Yung straight line depreciation method is computed by subtracting yung salvage value dun sa acquisition cost or cost ng asset divided by its useful life. So, yan yung kanyang annual depreciation kasi kung year ang iyong denominator dun sa formula, then annual yon, no? So, pwede mo i-convert into months, etc., etc. So, yung non-depreciable assets naman, ito yung mga assets that do not depreciate by usage or by passage of time, such as land. So, yung cost of land is deducted dun sa selling price kapag binenta siya, just in case. So, sa ating mga property, plant, and equipment, ito lang land ang tinatawag nating non-depreciable assets. Hindi bumababa kasi ang value ng land, kundi nag-i-increase pa. So, aside from straight line, pwede din tayong apply ng iba pang method such as sum of the years digit method, the declining balance method. We have two methods under declining balance. We have yung 150% and yung natawag nating 200% or yung double declining, and other method which may be prescribed by Secretary of Finance. So, itong mga depreciation methods na to, of course, na-discuss nyo na to sa financial or intermediate accounting. For goods, inventory, and supplies, the costs are deducted when sold or used in the business using the inventory method or yung specific identification method with the aid of point of sale machine. So, ang ibig sabihin nun, ang cost na i-deduct mo sa inventory is yung actual cost nung nabenta. Kaya nga gagamit tayo ng specific identification method. So, kung of course naka-identify dapat sa specific identification, naka-identify dapat yung unit cost ng item or ng lot ng inventory, if applicable inventory na yon. So, naka-attach sa kanya kung magkano yung cost niya. Kasi pag nagkaroon ng actual sale, syempre, yung actual cost niya din ang i-deduct mo. So, same as true sa supplies. Ganun din. So, yung cost na i-deduct sa supplies is kung ano yung cost ng na-consume na supplies, no? And of course, sa inventories, related sa topic ng inventory, alam nyo naman na yung kung paano i-compute yung cost of goods sold, diba? So, napag-aralan na yan sa intermediate accounting. So, we have yung beginning inventory, then you add your net purchases, come up with your gross purchases, then i-deduct ang freight in, at saka other related cost, and then ibawas mo yung purchase returns and discount. So, yun yung iyong net yun yung net purchases mo, and then yung net purchases idagdag mo sa beginning inventory to come up with the total goods available for sale. And then ang last step is to deduct your ending inventory doon sa total goods available for sale. So, yung common depreciation methods na mention na natin kanina, ang first ay yung straight line, kung saan ang formula niya ay acquisition cost minus salvage value divided by its useful life. So, sa sum of the years digit method naman, syempre, kailangan mong mag-develop ng factor depende sa kanyang useful life. So, for example, ang life ng asset is 4 years. No? So, kapag ang life ng depreciable assets is 4 years, estimated na 4 years, so meron kang 4, 3, 2, and 1. So, i-add mo lahat yung 4, 3, 2, and 1. Ang total niya ay 10. So, yun yung, then, gagawin mo na yung factor mo. Kukunin mo na yung factor mo, rather. So, first is yung 4/10, multiply mo sa depreciable cost. So, paano ba kunin yung depreciable cost? Yung cost minus yung salvage value. So, 4/10 times kung magkano yung depreciable cost niya. And then, next year, 3/10 naman times yung depreciable cost. And then, next, sa year 3, 2/10 times yung depreciable cost. And then, sa last year, syempre, 1/10 times yung depreciable cost. So, yun yung tinatawag nating SYD. Sa declining balance method naman, medyo madali lang siya. Kasi, kung, for example, ang kanyang useful life is 5 years, then i-divide mo lang yung 1 divided by 5 years yung kanyang useful life. So, makukuha mo ay 20%. So, kung ang gagamitin mo ay double declining, so ita times 2 mo lang. Times 2 mo lang, tapos i-multiply mo siya cost ng asset, no? Of course, ang i-depreciate mo lang ay hanggang yung depreciable niya. Kailangan may maiwan dyan yung kanyang salvage value, no? Dun sa pinaka last year na niya. Kailangan mo nang tanggalin yung salvage value. Kung magkano na natira, yun na yun. So, ulitin natin. I-divide mo lang ng useful life niya yung 1. So, 1 divided by 5 years is 20%. So, pag 150% declining, so times 1.5, and then pag double declining or 200% declining, then times 2. So, let's proceed naman sa intangible assets. How intangible assets are expensed. So, the acquisition cost of intangible assets such as patent and franchise constitute capital expenditures. So, ulitin natin, constitute capital expenditure. So, alam na natin. So, it is capital. Yung cost of acquisition niya is capitalized. And therefore, it should be, yung cost niya will be allocated over its useful life. Pero ang tawag natin doon, similar siya sa depreciation concept, pero ang tawag natin doon is amortization. Amortization of patent. Yung pag-decrease sa value ng intangible assets over time, kasi nga, sabi nga natin, i-allocate mo yung cost ng intangible asset, ng franchise, or ng patent doon sa kanyang useful life. So, magkakaroon siya ng expense. Ang tawag natin doon ay amortization. So, dinideduct dyan over its useful life. However, sabi dito, yung expense daw to create or maintain or promote goodwill of the taxpayer, trade, and business is not considered as business expense. Therefore, it is not deductible. Okay, so kanina, na-mention natin yung computation ng cost of goods sold kanina, pero sa merchandising yon. So, let us discuss naman yung computation ng cost of goods sold ng manufacturing business, no? So, of course, it is also an expense kasi nga it will be deducted dun sa revenue. So, paano ba mag-compute ng cost of goods sold ng manufacturing? So, pakitignan yung libro, ando naman yung pro forma computation ng manufacturing expense, and mayroon ding sample, no? So first, it will start with yung iyong raw materials, no? So parang ito ang equivalent niya sa merchandising ay yung purchases, no? So we have raw materials beginning. I-add natin yung purchases ng raw materials equals raw materials available for use. So then i-deduct natin yung raw materials ending para makuha yung raw material used. So, ulitin natin. Raw materials beginning, add net purchases of raw materials equals raw materials available for use, and i-less natin yung raw materials ending equals raw material use. And then, siyempre may raw materials na tayo, idagdag na natin yung other elements of cost. So, ano pa ba yung other cost natin sa manufacturing? Siyempre, yun yung direct labor at saka factory overhead. So, pag dinagdag natin yung dalawa sa materials, yun na yung tinatawag nating total manufacturing cost. And then, from dun sa total manufacturing cost, i-add natin yung work in process or work in progress beginning to come up with your total cost of goods placed into process. Then, ibawas natin yung work in process ending to come up with your cost of goods manufactured. Okay na. So, let us proceed dun sa last type ng inventory natin, which is finished goods. So, i-add ulit natin yung finished goods beginning and then come up with your total cost of goods available for sale, and then ibawas natin yung cost of finished goods end to come up with your cost of goods manufactured. So, napansin nyo lang yung trend, parang yung format niya, it will start with beginning and then end. Lagi, raw materials beginning, tapos add yun, and raw materials end. So, parang ganoon yung format, no? Yung beginning, ina-add, yung end ang binabawas. So, ganun naman yun lahat sa raw materials, sa goods in process, at saka sa finished goods. So, para matandaan nyo lang, no? Yung beginning ay ina-add, and then yung ending ang dinideduct. So, mag-start with raw materials, tapos idadagdag yung other elements of cost, tapos yung other inventories such as work in goods in process, at saka finished goods, and then meron ka ng cost of goods sold sa manufacturing. Okay, so let us proceed to the repairs and asset-related acquisition cost. So, dun muna tayo sa asset-related acquisition cost. All direct cost daw ng pag-acquire ng assets, any item sa property, plant, and equipment such as transportation, insurance, title guarantee insurance, freight, finder's fee, commission, import duties, and other taxes. Ang treatment natin doon sa mga acquisition-related expenses na yun ay capitalized. So, ibig sabihin, hindi mo i-expense, kundi idadagdag mo doon sa cost. So, magkakaroon ng adjusted cost yung assets. Just in case na meron siyang acquisition-related cost. And it is common naman na magkaroon siya ng acquisition-related cost. No? Pag bumili ka ng assets, maraming incidental expenses na kailangang ma-incur. Hindi lang yung assets na babayaran mo mismo, na bibilhin mo mismo rather. Now, with regards to property repairs and improvement naman, alam ko na-discuss na to sa intermediate accounting, that pwede siyang capitalizable or pwede rin naman siyang expense. So, it will depend doon sa condition. If yung repairs or improvements will significantly increase the value of the assets, or it will significantly prolong the useful life of the asset, then such repairs and improvement cost will be capitalized. So kung hindi niya mai-increase yung value ng assets, tapos hindi rin niya prolong yung life ng assets, ibig sabihin, it will be treated as an ordinary repairs. Then pag ordinary repairs yan, expense as incurred. Accrual expense versus cash basis expense. Of course, may effect ang ating accounting methods sa ating mga deductions. So, the taxpayer's accounting method for expense have significant bearing on the deductible expense. So it will have yung methods daw, yung accounting methods mo will have a significant bearing on your deductible expense. So depende kung anong gagamitin mo dyan sa accrual or cash basis, kung ano lang ang allowed na i-deduct sa iyong income, no? So for example, let's recall muna yung cash basis at saka accrual. So sa cash basis, sabi dito, expenses are deductible when paid regardless when they accrue. So ganun ang cash basis. Basta bayad mo na, dapat expense na. On the other hand naman, sa accrual naman, expense are deductible when they accrue regardless of payment. No? So, yun. Kung depende kung ano ang gagamitin mo dyan sa accrual or cash basis, ang iyong amount na maidideduct. So, for example, sa cash basis, ito yung mga common deduction natin. So, first is yung cash expenses, yung binayaran mo. Amortization of prepayments. So, pwedeng you cannot deduct outright yung prepayments, i-amortize mo siya. Depreciation of properties. So, yun. Pag inad mo, yun yung mga tatlong allowed under cash basis. While kapag under accrual ka, ang i-deduct mo is of course yung accrued expense. Whether paid or unpaid yan, basta nag-accrue. Tapos, another is yung amortization of prepayments and yung depreciation of properties. So, yun lang naman ang pagkakaiba nila. So, nagkaiba lang sila dun sa una, no? So, under cash basis, kung magkano yung binayaran mong expense, yun ang i-deduct. Tapos, sa accrual naman, kung magkano yung nag-accrue, regardless kung binayaran mo, and then yung ibang component ng deduction is parehas naman na sila. 4. General principles of deduction. So, let's tackle yung una. Sabi dito sa una, expenses must be legitimate, ordinary, actual, and necessary. No? So, ibig sabihin ng legitimate, it is valid. No? It is a legitimate business expense. So, hindi lang gawa-gawa. It is legitimate. It is a legitimate business expense. Ordinary, alam naman na natin yung ibig sabihin ng ordinary, it is a common expense sa mga businesses, and it is yung actual, no? Hindi pwedeng i-deduct yung hindi pa na-incur na expense, and it should be necessary sa operation ng business. So, yun yung unang principle. Ulitin natin, expenses must be legitimate business expense. So, para ang only way to prove its legitimacy is dapat meron kang supporting document. So, it should be valid. No? Ordinary, ibig sabihin, it is common. Di ba? Laging nangyayari. Like yung pagbayad ng kuryente, sweldo, etc., etc. And dapat yung actual. No? Hindi may dagdag, hindi may bawas. Kung magkano lang yung actual expense. And it is necessary sa business operation. So, ordinary and necessary. Number 2, we also have to observe yung principle of matching principle. Alam naman yan, diniscuss na ito sa GAAP, yung matching principle. Only business expenses which contribute to or are incurred in connection with the generation of income, gain, profits are deductible. So, yun yung ibig sabihin ng matching. Yun lang expenses na ang i-deduct mo dapat ay yung mga expenses na ginamit mo to generate revenue. Dapat matching, di ba? Kung na-recognize mo yung revenue ngayon, yung expense na nagamit mo para ma-recognize yung revenue ngayon, dapat i-deduct mo ngayon. Hindi next year, hindi sa future. Kung hindi, dapat ma-achieve yung matching ng revenue at saka expense. Parang gano'n. Yung timing nila. Number 3, the related party rule. In case of transaction between related parties, gains are taxable but losses are not deductible. Malinaw naman yun. Related party transaction. So, pag gains, kailangan na makipag-transact ka kung gain, no? Pero pag loss, wag na lang. Kasi pag nagkaroon ng loss, kailangan makipag-transact sa related party kung loss din lang. Kasi hindi mo ma-deduct yung loss na incurred. Well, ang purpose nun is to avoid manipulation. Kasi minsan ginagamit to manipulate, no? Yung data, no? Number 4, withholding rule. No deduction is allowed unless withholding tax required by law or regulation to be withheld on the income payment is withheld and remitted to the taxpayer. So, mag-ingat tayo dito, no? So, dapat, para ma-deduct mo yung expenses, dapat kung kailangan ka mag-withhold ng tax doon sa expense na yun, kailangan nag-withhold ka and ni-remit mo sa BIR. For example, nagpaparenta ka or nagre-renta ka. Example, nagre-renta ka, tapos bago ka magbayad dun sa landlord mo or landlady mo sa ginagamit mong place sa pag-operate ng business, di ba? Gumagamit ka ng place. Kaya naman nag-hire ka ng security guard, ganon. So dapat bago mo ibayad yung fee nila sa landlord mo o kaya sa security agency, you are required to withheld yung applicable tax niya. Kasi kung hindi mo pwedeng i-deduct yung expense, rental expense mo o kaya yung salary ng security guard. So, let's compare yung ordinary and necessary, no? Although sinabi na natin to kanina, no? An expense is necessary if reasonable and essential to the development, management, operation, and conduct of trade or business or sa exercise ng profession ng taxpayer. So, yun yung tinatawag nating necessary. Kung if it is reasonable and it is essential doon sa business operation. While, kung ordinary naman, it is normal in relation to the business taxpayer surrounding circumstances. It is normal. It is ordinary. It is normal. It is recurring. It is common expense. So, to be deductible, natin to be for a business expense to be deductible, dapat ma-meet niya yung it should be ordinary and it is necessary. So, para malaman mo kung ordinary man yan, so i-compare mo sa mga industries around you. Nag-i-incur ba sila ng mga expense na ganito? Like, for example, salary, utility, oo naman siguro, mga supplies, insurance, ganun. Then it is ordinary. Pag hindi, baka hindi yan ordinary. Therefore, hindi siya pwedeng deduct kasi hindi na-meet yung requirement ng it must be ordinary and necessary. So, ano ba ang ibig sabihin ng actual expense. So, actual expense, it is an actual expense rather if it is paid or resulted to an incurrence of an obligation to the taxpayer. In case of loss, it must be sustained or realized by the taxable year in a closed and completed transaction. So, ano ba ibig sabihin ng closed and completed transaction? A closed and completed transaction requires no further transaction emanates from this occurrence. So, ibig sabihin, wala nang susunod. Ibig sabihin yun ay closed and completed transaction. So, yung closed and completed transaction was discussed dun sa previous slide na. So, let us discuss na lang yung non-deductible expense under yung rule na closed and completed transaction. So, the following are non-deductible transactions. So, una is decrease in value of properties and investment. Kasi nga, hindi pa naman tapos. Pwede pa siyang maka-recover. Hindi pa siya considered as closed and completed transaction. Number 2 is yung estimated future loss. Kasi mangyayari pa lang in the future. So, hindi pa siya tapos. So, hindi pa siya closed and completed transaction. And pag hindi pa siya closed and completed, pwedeng ma-reverse. Pwedeng mabawi. And number 3, loss on property covered by insurance or indemnity contract. O yun, although nangyari na yung loss, pero avoid. Dahil, bakit? Dahil it can be compensated by insurance or indemnity. Halimbawa, nagdemanda, and yung court nag-agree na, nag-order rather na bayaran yung loss. Di, in that case, walang loss. So, pwede pang, pwede pang mabawi. So, in other words, hindi pa siya final. So, hindi pa completed yung transaction. Let's go over this matching principle rule, no? So, it is a well-established rule in income taxation that only business expense that are incurred for generation of gross income subject to regular tax are deductible. This is a pervasive criterion that is consistently observed by National Internal Revenue Code, Revenue Regulations, BIR ruling. So let us refer to this rule as yung matching principle. So kanina, diniscuss naman na natin ang ibig sabihin ng matching principle, yung cost na incur to generate yung profit for this period should be reported on the same period. Diba? Kung kailan sila na-incur at saka na-earn. Hindi mo pwedeng hiwalay sila. No? I-present mo dapat sila sabay kasi nga matching. So, examples of non-deductible expense under this rule. So, expenses on exempt income. So, yung expenses on exempt income is siyempre, deductible kasi hindi taxable yung income. No? Eh, bakit mo i-deduct yung expense na incur mo dun sa non-taxable income? Expense on income subject to special tax regime. So, mayroong ibang tax kasi na nag-subject sa kanya. So, therefore, hindi mo siya pwedeng i-deduct as expense dun sa regular tax. Number 3, business expense of taxpayer subject to final tax. Kasi it is subject to final tax na nga, di ba? So, yung income na subject to final tax, hindi na naman natin sinasama sa gross income subject to regular tax. So, therefore, expense related to the generation of income subject to final tax, siyempre hindi din dapat kasama. Number 4, expenses and taxes on income subject to final tax or capital gains tax. Ayan, so parang parehas sila ng nature. Next, number 5. Foreign business expense of a taxpayer only. Yan. In the taxable only in the Philippine income. Oo naman, mayroon kang expenses sa foreign, pero ang income mo lang na subject sa Philippines ay within. Anyway, meron naman tayong tinatawag na, kung ikaw ay qualified, meron naman tayong tinatawag na tax credit. Pero in general, ang expenses mo na na-incur mo sa abroad, hindi dapat kasama sa deduction mo. Kasi nga, ang taxable income mo lang ay yung nasa Philippines. No? And number 6, loss of income not yet recognized in gross income. So, meron kang loss, o nawalan ka ng income, pero yung income hindi pa naman na-recognize. So, kung hindi mo pa na-recognize yung income at nawala, di wala. So, hindi siya deductible. So, sabi natin kanina sa related parties, yung gains are taxable, pero yung loss na na-incur mo ay not deductible. Sabi natin kanina. So, who are related parties? So, number 1, member of the family. Number 2, except in cases of distribution and liquidation, the direct or indirect controlling individual of a corporation. So, yung controlling individual, ibig sabihin, siya yung pinakamaraming malaki ang percentage of ownership, controlling individual. No? So, yon. Number 3, except in cases of distribution liquidation, corporations under the direct or indirect common controlled by or the same individual. Like sa case ng mga company kasi may usong-uso na yun yung nagkakaroon ng maraming businesses, or ang tawag natin doon ay diversification. No? So, hindi na lang sila nag-concentrate ngayon sa isang business. Create na sila ng kanilang business in order to spread yung risk. So, hindi natin talaga maiiwasan na mayroong mga company na controlled by same individuals. No? Like for example, yung PLDT, at saka Smart, TB5, etc. Usually, it is controlled by Mr. Manny Pangilinan kasi siya lang yung may-ari. Yung PLDT, which is yung PLDT, may investment, it is 100% owned. Kaya yung Smart, and then yung TB5, hindi ko lang alam kung 100% owned niya o owned niya. Pero ang alam ko, siya pa rin ang controlling interest sa Channel 5. Next is number 4, grantor and fiduciary of any trust. Ayun. So, yung nag-create ng trust agreement. So, pwede siyang related parties. Fiduciaries of trust with the same grantor. And fiduciary trust and beneficiary of such trust. So, related party sila. So, tax deduction classification. So, we have number 1 is yung classification of deduction is yung cost of sales of cost or service. Number 2 is yung ordinary allowable itemized deduction. Number 4 is yung special allowable itemized deduction. And yung number 4 is yung net operating loss carryover. So, of course, alam naman na natin yung cost of sales or cost of service. It is deducted talaga outright to sales or revenues or fees. No? After mo ma-deduct, for example, sa sales, after mo ma-deduct yung contra account, yung sales returns, allowance, and discount, then i-deduct mo na kagad yung cost of sales. O kaya naman sa service, cost of service. Next, yung regular allowable deduction pertains to all necessary and ordinary expenses paid and incurred during the taxable year. And then yung special allowable deductions are deductions under the National Internal Revenue Codes and or special laws not arising from business operation. So, pwede rin namang tayo magkaroon ng deduction kasi nga may special deduction dito. Let's continue yung last part ng classification of deduction. Yung last part nun is NOLCO. Na-close ko kaagad yung slide kanina so hindi na-discuss yung slide. Pero dapat kasama doon ang NOLCO. So, dito na lang natin sa last slide isasama. No? So, ano ba ang NOLCO? This is an expense, excess of expense deduction over a gross income during the taxable year. So, yung law allowed us to deduct against net income yung sinasabag nating net operating loss, carry over, or NOLCO hanggang 3-year period. No? So, yung NOLCO will be discussed sa Chapter 13 in detail. Now, let's move dito sa two modes of claiming deduction. So, we have yung itemized deduction and yung optional standard deduction. So, ang itemized deduction, ito yung mga actual incurred expenses ng business, no? Like yung utility, salary, depreciation, ganun, isa-isahin mo yon. Yung mga ordinary and necessary expenses and yung mga allowed na expenses ay deduct sa gross income ng National Internal Revenue Code at saka ang tax code. Yung pangalawa naman is yung optional standard deduction. So, binibigyan tayo ng option mamili kung ano ba ang gamitin nating deduction doon sa ating gross income? Itemized ba or yung optional standard deduction? Yung optional standard deduction, ang advantage nito is over doon sa itemized deduction is that yung itemized deduction kasi it requires proof. Dapat meron kang proof of their existence, yung mga expenses na i-claim mo. So, dapat may file ka ng mga expenses na yun. While yung optional standard deduction is percentage of your gross income na lang. No? So, hindi mo na kailangan ng proof. So, parang mas madali ito sa computation. Pero, of course, ang magiging basis mo pa rin is kung saan ka magkaroon ng advantage. Saan ka magkakaroon ng tax savings, kung mayroon man. So, yung optional standard deduction will be discussed naman sa Chapter 13C. So, meron tayong sub-chapter for Chapter 13 which is Chapter 13 NOLCO at saka optional standard deduction naman yung Chapter 13C.